My name is Digby Ellis-Brecknell from Enable.
And we're at this breakfast discussion on disability for the International Year of Disabled Persons. I presume that's United Nations Day, is it?
Yes.
Now, you're active in a making awareness role.
That's correct.
As far as disability is concerned. What does that mean exactly?
Well, essentially, I offer disability awareness training to businesses. My sort of focus really was on trying to raise awareness for customers and customer-facing staff so that they felt empowered to be able to deliver good service to customers with disabilities, but also looking at the culture of a business and how it offers its services and the way it thinks really and how it looks at inclusion, and then looking at the accessibility of a business in terms of sort of not just disabled access in terms of wheelchairs, but also looking at things like the website, signage, information, lighting and attitudes, I suppose, to allow a business in terms of employees and also customers for it to be accessible so people want to come in and feel welcomed into a business.
I mean, it's not a criticism, but I noticed, for example, which is one of the occurring problems in Jersey, there's nobody signing today. Now, obviously, that's an expensive activity to employ a signer, but in the United Kingdom, if you went to a meeting on disability, you'd expect a signer to be present or somebody being a bit more active in that area.
I think it's something that Jersey is sort of, we are behind the times compared to a lot of others, and that is greatly to do with not having legislation in place, and it's sort of voluntary events like this which start to raise awareness and the work of charities and organisations that will improve the way things are. And there are things which are improving in Jersey, but we still do have a way to go.
I've been involved with various charities over the years, but it always used to frustrate me that there was a multiplicity of charities duplicating each other's efforts. Great need for them to work together on the common cause.
It is an issue, but it is something that's starting really to be looked at. I mean, partly that is, a lot of it is to do with, and now is actually to do with funding, and people starting to say, well, actually, hang on, we need to work together. How can we work together? Duplication of training, can we share training, etc., can we share trainers, and they really are starting to look to work together and make themselves more effective as a whole, I suppose.
You'll be aware that there was talk here today about a strategy. Well, of course, Guernsey announced that it adopted a disability strategy a couple of years ago, and they've just had a meeting this week, I think, in which was lamenting the fact that virtually nothing's happened on that strategy, even though the states in Guernsey adopted it. Without firm legislation, legal requirements, these sort of semi-voluntary things don't work.
No, but the strategy is coming in first and the legislation is followed. So we're looking at 2007, 2008 for actually firm legislation to be in place. The strategy is just sort of the lead into that, to get that in place. But then we will have legislation where we have a disability discrimination law in place, should be in 2007 or 8. Sorry, 16, 17. Sorry.
You've been doing what you're doing for, I think, 10 years or more. These are not new issues, are they? No. Disability has been flagged up for a very long time.
Disability is not a new issue, but it's looking at it. We need to look at it in its whole encompassing format, that these laws and how they are going to affect Jersey. It's not just about your classic way of looking at disabilities of wheelchairs and blindness and deafness. We're looking at long-term health conditions, impairments, progressive conditions. It's looking at it in its holistic sense and trying to change the attitudes, not looking at it in point of view of sort of simplistic, but looking really how can we sort of work together and changing attitudes on it.
I was interested, one of the comments was made about improving signs. Well, of course, there are public toilets around St Helier, not many out in the country parishes, but there are virtually no signs. I don't know of any sign in Jersey which points anybody towards a public toilet.
There are many things like that.
I mean, it's so basic, isn't it?
A lot of it is basic, and that's the thing that people do get worried about when this law comes in, that we're going to suddenly have to have lift access everywhere, and it's going to cost millions. And a lot of it is just simple signage, information. It can be very, very simple indeed.
Your business is addressing businesses primarily. You're not out there preaching to the general public, as I gather. Presumably that's on the basis that you've got to make an income from somewhere.
Essentially, yes. I mean, I did leave my full paid position to take this up as a business, and I feel that there's a lot of businesses out there who actually want the support. And as the legislation comes forward, I think people more and more start to think this is now something we actually need to do. So the carrot and the stick principle, I'm there being a carrot, but the stick is going to come in, and then people will start to think we actually need to do this now.
Are you finding that generally businesses really want to grasp the nettle? Do they really want to do it?
It's a little bit of, you get the ones who want to and are already doing it, and then you get the ones who think we don't need to do this. They are, we don't have anybody coming in a wheelchair as the classic one, or we have a wheelchair access is the other one I get, and it's like, no, this is looking way beyond. We're not just talking about wheelchairs. So you get there's the two schools, or you get the ones who want to. There'll be somebody in the workforce who really genuinely wants to do something, but then when it goes to sort of management level, senior management level, they're not wanting to go any further with it. And so it is a matter of the legislation will start to make the senior management possibly sit up and wake up. For some businesses, and other businesses, the legislation will come in and they're already doing good things anyway.
There was talk here about adaptations. Of course, adaptations generally in the workplace especially are for the individual. You have somebody who has a specific need, they need a desk at a particular height or whatever. But one of the frustrations is that when adaptations are made, they tend to disappear when that person moves on.
Yeah.
So you don't build up, we're not building up an accessible environment, are we not? Really?
No, I mean, accessibility is really about doing things that actually help all. I mean, if you have accessible signage, which is easy to read, it's clear, it uses the right font size, etc., the right lighting, etc., it will benefit everybody. It's not just going to benefit somebody with a visual impairment. I was doing some work with an employer, and they had started doing some training for a work placement, and it was through Jersey Employment Trust, and they adjusted their training program to fit this individual. And after they'd done the readjustment of this training program, they realised that actually it was a whole heap better than the one they had been running before, because it was clear, everything was much more simple, structured, they'd taken out the jargon, and they now use this training for all their staff. And so accessibility is really about trying to do things that actually help all, and not just, it doesn't always just specifically help a disability or a person, it can help everybody.
I'm a bit out of touch with what goes on in other places, but there was quite a fashion to have access officers appointed. Is that the sort of thing that would be helpful for Jersey, do you think?
I think all these kinds of positions, I mean, if you go to a lot of international airports, you'll find there's sort of, there are actually special designated people there who will support and help people and assist you. There's an awful lot we can be doing, and we are small enough in this island and rich enough as an island to make this a beacon of accessibility to everybody.